Petri here. Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming by. We are going to have an absolutely exciting time here. We're doing an incredible Lighthouse and Fisherman on the surf in the beautiful area of North Carolina in the United States. Cape Hatteras is the place. We have a beautiful Cape Hatteras lighthouse here, and this is one of the most the area of the United States on the east coast of the United States. This place gets bombarded with storms, hurricanes, crazy storms, and you know, this is an exciting place. And this gentleman here that's fishing, he doesn't care. He's out in the surf fishing. There's a huge storm coming. He's fishing, having a great time. We're going to capture that mood of just the storms. This is the tallest lighthouse also in the United States, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. So we're having fun with this. We're going to create the mood, the excitement, the surf, the crashing waves, the fishermen, the lighthouse in the background. We even had some problems with this painting as we were going, and we will show you how to work around issues that you have in your watercolors. Everyone that paints watercolor knows you have issues with your watercolors sometimes, and that's no problem. We're going to show you how we rectified a problem with our lighthouse here. We made it too dark in the beginning of our painting, and then toward the end of the painting we lightened it up. We show you how to do it with some white, titanium white paint and a little bit of water and some blotting with some tissues and some paper towels. We're going to show you all the techniques here. So you're in a great place right now. You're here with us here. We're all painting together. I'm going to just zoom in a little better on this here, and you can see that this is really a gorgeous painting. I'm very happy with this. A fisherman on the surf, a gorgeous lighthouse, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina, United States. Here in this painting, you're going to have a fun time. Come along with us. We'll get started in just a second. We'll start doing the pencil drawing. We're also going to use some acetate. We're going to show you how to use some acetate to trace over a picture on your phone or your computer, so you can get a nice rendering of the picture, of the painting, without suffering too much. You know, if you're still practicing on your drawing skills, no need to, suffer when you're doing your paintings. You do a little bit of tracing, you get some stuff done, and even by tracing, you're learning how to draw. So I don't care if people complain about people tracing, using tracing paper or plastic. When you're tracing, you're actually learning how to draw. You're getting better at drawing by using this method. So use this method if you have to. If you can just draw it freehand, no problem. But some of you that are just starting out painting in watercolor and drawing, you might need to use some plastic or some tracing paper to help you get your drawings done, and that's fine by me. Main thing is you get some really beautiful watercolors going and some paintings done, and you can put them in frames and hang them in your house or give them as gifts. That's the most important thing. Get into the juice of having a lot of fun with your watercolors, sharing it with other people, and having a great time at it. And let's get started with this video. This is the painting. We'll start in just a few minutes. We'll get into the drawing and so forth, and we'll be right back. All right, you've seen the finished painting. We're going to go for it here. We're going to show you each step of the way how to paint, how to draw and paint this scene here. It's a really interesting scene. It's a fisherman along the shore. This is actually the tallest lighthouse in the United States, Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. It's in North Carolina. So there's a gentleman here. He's fishing along the ocean here, along the coastal areas, surf fishing. He's having a great time. It looks like an overcast day. We're going to try to just do a real minimalistic type painting. We're going to keep it simple. You can see this is a black and white photo. We're going to do some color in this. We'll add some color to it, but we're going to use this photograph to actually create our painting. So I hope you're going to join along with us and have a great time. So we'll get started here. First thing I'm going to do is we noticed this photograph, and we're going to try to, I'll set this aside for just 1 second. We have our, we did a golfer just a few weeks ago or so, and we used our acetate, which again is the plastic acetate. It's made by Duralar, 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 or you can just use any plastic you can find around the house. I know I've used plastic from packaging from food, things like that. Sometimes if I run run short of some Duralar acetate. I've used plastic from packaging and things like that. So you can be creative. You're the artist. You can be creative and figure out how you can get things done. So we're going to take this here. Maybe we'll just take a little bit of nail polish remover and we'll clean off this figure here of a golfer. And then we'll start to shape up our photograph on our cell phone with a new drawing with our Sharpie marker. So we're going to grab a Sharpie marker as well, right here. But let me find some nail polish remover. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I just found some nail polish remover, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the paper towel. Look at how that this is actually, this is like, it's called Goof Off. This works too. You could use nail polish remover, acetone, maybe some paint thinner or whatever. I have this here. This works really good. And then we just wipe up the Sharpie off like that. So now we have a nice clean piece of plastic. We can do our general idea of the composition or on some plastic just to give us an advantage. So we'll take our Sharpie, our plastic, we'll put our... Then the next thing we do, we take some frog tape. This is painter's tape. You can get this in any hardware store, big box, home improvement store. And I tape that right onto my phone. There we go. Just like that. Perfect. Now all we're going to do is really get the main idea of what we're doing here. Lighthouse, top of the lighthouse, shape of the lighthouse. It's tapering upwards, wider to smaller up top. Then there's the bottom of the lighthouse, like that. Then we have the fisherman. He's here in the surf having a great time fishing, no doubt. And we're going to just capture the angle of his legs. He's got his waders on, his waterproof waders, so he's in the surf, he's loving it, he's dry. It's raining. And then we have his fishing rod here, like that. And this is all we need. A couple little indications of some surf, some waves here, some waves over here, and then we have the landmass up here. So that's all you have to do. You get some indications with your Sharpie marker of the general idea of the composition. The lighthouse, we did the lighthouse first. The figure next. We have a fisherman here, he's fishing, surf fishing, right along the coast here, right on the beach. And then we have the figure here, he's got his fishing rod, and that looks good. Now if we take this off the phone, we set the phone across from us with the picture that we're going to use for our painting, and you can kind of see how we have our composition right there. Now we'll take our scrap paper away and we're going to put it right onto our watercolor paper. So here we have to zoom out. There we go. We zoom out. That's the palette. So we have our palette all ready to go, watercolor palette. We have all our colors in here. Now, if you're confused, okay, all of a sudden now you're seeing this palette and you're like shaking in your boots, no problem. You just type in Chris Petri, which is ChrisPetri, and then you type in palette, Palette. If you type that into the YouTube search bar, you'll see my like 5 or 10 or 15 videos on palettes, paints. Get acquainted with that, because you need that to really like get the most out of doing your drawing and your painting here. So I always mention that. Please, you know, take some time, maybe like a week. Take a week if you're brand new at this. You need like a week or two, maybe even a month. Go through my videos on the palette, my paint colors. You might want to buy one of these palettes. These are readily available. This is a Holbein aluminum palette. I actually took the top off this palette on this side over here. So there's another side to the palette over here that flips over and closes. I took that off because I want to, you know, have it online here on my YouTube videos, and wouldn't work if I left the top portion of the palette on. So I took that off, the lid, so to speak. So I took the lid off, removed it from the palette, and so here you're seeing only half of it. But this has tons of space to put plenty of watercolor washes in. You can put all your colors in just like I have here. You just follow my colors, use my colors, fill your palette the same way. Warm colors first over here, and then cooler colors over here. Warm and then cool. And again, on my videos, if you type in Chris Petri palette or Chris Petri colors, you'll find like 10 videos, 15, 20 videos on all my colors, my palettes, what palettes I like to use. You can choose from many different palettes. This one's readily available. You can get this one online, very inexpensive. Again, it's made by Holbein, Holbein. Holbein makes this. You can get this palette from Holbein right online. Holbein makes these two spritzer bottles. We're going to spritz our palette here to clean up. Since our last painting, we need to clean up this paints from our last, and we also need to just spritz our paints a little bit. But I keep my palette in a refrigerator. Again, you'll learn that on the other videos. I can't go into all these details. We'll be here forever. So remember, Chris Petri, Petri, space, palette. You type that in. Palette is Palette online on the YouTube search. You type that into the YouTube search bar, and you'll find that. So now here we've taken our drawing. We're using acetate, Duralar acetate. You can use any old plastic that you can find if it works. You might have to be creative. You're the artist. You got to find creative ideas how to get things done, just like I do. And then here you can see I have a large piece of paper. Let's take a pencil and outline my rectangle. This is more like a square, I think, than a rectangle. So let me see what our working surface looks like. Yeah, it's more of a square than a rectangle. There we go. So we go right around like that. So we'll make this more of a vignette. So we're going to take this, and we're not going to make it quite center. Let's make it a touch off center. Center is here in the vertically. This is the center of the our rectangle or our square. So that's the center line over here. So instead of going exact center, let's move it over a little bit. So if this is center, we move this over just a little bit. And let's kind of set it down here. We'll make it a little bit lower. It makes it, when you set something down lower in your rectangle or your square when you're painting, your composition, if you set it down lower in the picture, it's going to feel more stable, like it's set down like on a table, or, you know, that feeling of stability. If you have something high up in your painting like this, that's going to feel more like it's floating. So you can actually create it the way you want. You're the artist again. If you want to make your painting feel like it's more floating and like a very light feeling, like this scene is floating in the air, it's more of an exciting light feeling, great. You can put your composition up higher. If you want to feel like it's more stable, attached down low, anchored anchored to the bottom of the painting, you're going to put it a little bit lower like this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave it a little lower, like so. We'll put the tape on there like so. So now you have everything all set up. This helps you with your compositions, with your drawing. As artists, we're always working on our drawings, our drawing skills. So no need to worry about, you know, if you're doing a little bit of work with some acetate or some tracing paper, you might have tracing paper too. That's fine. It helps you to get the advantage of getting straight to what you want to do. You want to create a painting here, a beautiful painting. You can't be worrying about it or suffering over the fact that you're having a tough time drawing this. If you have a tough time drawing, you keep practicing at it, and while you're practicing, if you have to use some aids to help you get a little better compositions, you just use some plastic or some tracing paper. So here you'll see, we're going to do that. I'm going to take this plastic, hold it down to the paper like so, and I'm going to start from the top of the lighthouse and just start using with a small mechanical pencil, number 0.9 millimeter, and I'm going to start drawing in the lighthouse. Again, I'm not being worried about perfection here. We're just trying to get the overall idea. Okay, so we have the top of the lighthouse there. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, then here we have the side of the lighthouse. There we go. Okay, you can see I'm working a little bit at a time here. So right now, we've got the lighthouse in. We just keep transferring the lines from underneath here, using that as our guide. We've got it. And you can see we're already getting a perfect composition here. The lighthouse, the land here, the land along the lighthouse, the ocean, the coastal area. Now we're going to start working down into our figure. So now we have the figure directly below the lighthouse. Let's start doing that. Hold that plastic tight, or if you're using tracing paper, that's fine. And he's got his hat. So he's wearing a hat. It's very windy. It's raining. So I'm just going to use this. He's in the water, so you can't see his feet. So that's fine. That gives us an advantage. We don't have to worry about drawing the feet in there. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, we're going to get the fishing pole. So already we're doing this. We've got the, let me zoom in a little. So we have the bottom of the figure, the top of the figure here, the hat. So he's wearing a hat. It's storming here. He's got his hat, his raincoat, his rain suit. He's got his rain suit on. Probably some rubber boots. He's in the surf here. There's the ocean coming in, the surf. So he's right in the water here, right along the beach, surf fishing. We have his legs. We got his legs in here. We keep transferring our lines. Now we're going to do the fishing pole. So let's do the fishing pole here. Let's get the angle correct. There we go. So that's pretty easy. We can just kind of transfer that up. We could do that with a ruler. So we could use a ruler to do the fishing pole. Then we're going to get the lines of the surf. So let's do that. Okay, so that's kind of the surface here, the ocean, the waves coming in. Just like that. Okay, let's get the arms and the front of the figure here. Okay, we're going to get the front of his face, his shoulder, his arms. Okay, there we go. So that's the essence of what we're doing here. We're trying to get a good composition, a strong composition. We're not going to like really suffer over trying to draw this without a help for us. So we use our plastic acetate. Duralar is the brand name of this I use. But of course, if I run out of Duralar acetate, I'll sometimes use some things from the supermarket, some plastic that I find off of one of the boxes, you know, for the donut boxes and whatever. So no big deal, use whatever you have. Tracing paper works too. And there we have it. So we'll lift this up. Our composition is now complete, and now we're going to have the fun of just painting this scene. Now the only thing I would say is we did not get the stripes on the lighthouse. Let's do it with the phone. All right, we got everything done so far. Let's tough it out and not use the plastic on this part. Let's see if we can get the Okay, so there we go. We line this up right next to this. Okay, so now's a perfect time for a break. You're going to see we're going to have an interesting time here. We're going to transfer these lines of the stripes around the lighthouse onto this drawing that we're doing. But we'll use the photograph instead of using the plastic. We use the acetate. We got 90% of the drawing complete. Let's tough it out and do some freestyle drawing here to get the stripes on this beautiful lighthouse, Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina, in the United States. And we'll get started in just a second. Let's take a break. And I always mention too, hey, if you haven't subscribed, right below here on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see subscribe button. Please subscribe. This way you can be alerted each time we do a new video each week. We do videos every week here. We do all kinds of cool subject matter, oodles of information, chock full of techniques, methods, all that you need to get your watercolors to the next level. I want to see your paintings looking better all the time. That's why I'm here. I'm here to share my information, the tidbits of information that I have, so that you can actually get excited about watercolor because you're always improving. So here we're going to keep going on this. And again, if you subscribe, you'll never miss a thing. And I always say too, please watch each video full through, because each video that you watch full through, you're going to learn all of the information, all the methods, the techniques. You're going to learn the terminology that we're using. You're going to memorize all the colors of the palette over here. So if I zoom out and show you all the palette colors, if I'm constantly mentioning these colors as I'm painting, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear the colors over and over and over. French ultramarine blue, Prussian blue, sap green, cadmium red, cadmium orange, cadmium yellow. You keep hearing those things over and over. You're going to memorize it. And that's one less thing you have to worry about when you're drawing and painting in watercolor. So you'll be far better off if you're learning all the terminology, all the techniques, all the methods week after week following me, than if you're just sporadically watching a video here, a video there. It's not going to be as effective. So if you want to get better at your watercolors, and I know you do, stick here week after week, month after month, and year after year, and you're going to get better. I guarantee it. So let's take a break, and then we'll be right back. And we'll start this wonderful painting after we just draw in a few more pencil lines, okay? So I'll be right back. Okay, we just took a break. Perfect time to get back in here, and let's finish up our drawing. We were basically working on the overall layout of our design here. A fisherman fishing in the coastal areas here. This is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina, the largest lighthouse, the tallest lighthouse in the United States. This is a very stormy, really very, very stormy and dangerous area of the coastal areas in North Carolina, the most dangerous areas in the coastal areas of North Carolina. More storms come through here than any other place, I think, on the East Coast. So this is a very important lighthouse. Helps provide safety for the mariners that travel through these areas on their boats and their ships. And this gentleman is just having a great time fishing along this area. And again, we have the acetate that we placed over the top of our cell phone picture. Did a quick Sharpie. We used a Sharpie pen to just outline the general layout of our design. Now that we have that, we'll zoom in a little bit so we can kind of just see. We're going to get the stripes on this lighthouse. Okay, so the first stripes are actually right at the top, and then we have another one here. And these lines kind of have curves to them, so we try to remember that. So the top one kind of fuses in with the bottom of the light area of the lighthouse. Then we have another one here. Second one, then there's a third one here. So we just try to put some curve onto those stripes a little bit. And then the last one is here. And then we have the bottom of the lighthouse, the base, the foundation of the lighthouse, like that. Okay, that looks good. So we've got the basic layout of the and design of the lighthouse. It's going to be a stormy scene. We're going to have fun with this. Okay, so we'll put this across from us here. We'll zoom back out a little bit so we can get our palette in there, like so. And again, we're going to have fun with this. We're not going to suffer over details or, have a difficult time with this. We're going to actually make this a fun, simple composition and painting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the darks. Now, before we even do that, let's clean up our palette a little bit. So I always take off a little bit of paper towels here, and then I dip that into the clean water, and we'll keep our palette nice and clean, tidy. This way we're starting off with fresh, clean paint. Even if we're going to do a very minimal, very simple color scheme, we still want to start out with good, fresh, clean paint. So I'm going to use a number 4 Da Vinci Maestro travel brush. And then let's get in with some, this is ivory black. So we have some ivory black, and then we'll use some French ultramarine blue, some Prussian blue. Then we're gonna, and what I do is as I go, when I rinse off my brush, I always use my tissue and I dry off a little bit of paint, a little bit of water. So I rinse my brush, dry off a little bit of water on the tissue, and then I go over into my paints, a little bit of cerulean blue, rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of water. And then we're going to continue on here, maybe a little bit of Viridian green. Rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit on there. Burnt umber, let's add a little bit of burnt umber to this ivory black. There we go. Then we'll use some raw umber. And we want some alizarin crimson, maybe some purple. So we'll try to mix up some different interesting colors. But for the most part, we're going to stick with our darks. We're going to start off with the darks. We're going to paint this what we call alla prima, darks first. So we're going to do our dark paints first. Burnt umber, ivory black, a little bit of burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, kind of a mix of a lot of colors actually, all the dark colors. Black, we have ivory black, French ultramarine blue, very dark, Prussian blue, mix that in there too. Burnt umber is a very dark. There we put some of that. Burnt sienna, that's a warmer. There we go. So we have a lot of nice darks in there. And let's start off here. And we're going to do the top of the lighthouse first. That cone type shape at the top. Then we're going to do the top of the lighthouse, and then we're going to kind of see that it, there we go. And again, how simple is that? We're just getting in the darks. So we're looking at our, I'm trying to leave in my palette so you see the colors I'm using. But you can see I'm going to get in these darks now. There we go. And another. Key to this is having a nice sharp point on your watercolor brush. You kind of have to have that. Can you see that? My watercolor brush is very, very pointy. Sometimes when you use watercolor brushes over time, the points wear out because this paper is, this is a Artistico, Fabriano Artistico paper, rough paper. It does wear out the points of the brush. So sometimes when you're using your brushes, you have to be aware that if you're going to do a smaller, more detailed painting like this, you need to have that sharp point. I also use a needlepoint brush like this. So I just put that in some water. So a needlepoint brush will give you a very sharp point as well. And you'll always see on my videos, I use this needlepoint brush all the time. And you know, you can get some great details with it. Let's use it a little bit here. So you can use that as well. So if you're, let's say your round brush, the point has worn off a little bit, you can use your needlepoint brush to accomplish the same thing. Does just as good a job as anything else, like that. And then we can go back to this one here because we're sort of okay. Now we see that we have the base of the lighthouse. Now we're going to start going out here with the shoreline. Not a big deal. Let's just get a nice, you can see how I'm using my brush. I'm using I'm going parallel here, parallel stroke. And just dragging the brush across here like so. And that's a really nice feel for the coast here. There we go. Okay, maybe like that. Okay, so we're going to continue on. Here, there's a little more interesting things going on in the distance here. Rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of water. A little bit of that cooler wash there with some cerulean blue and some Verdian green. I add a little bit of that color here and there. Let's add some warm too. We want to add some warm. And this over here, there's some buildings. So we just put in those buildings over here. So I'm just trying to look at my photograph, kind of feel out where these things are in the distance here. There's some buildings. Maybe there's some boardwalk areas here and buildings and interesting things along the shore here in North Carolina, Cape Hatteras. Okay, so we have that really beautiful parallel line across the painting. It makes it feel like stable. Feels like the lighthouse is sitting nice and stable across a table of sorts, or a nice line. That's good. And we'll get some more repeating lines like this throughout the painting with the ocean surf here. But this is really starting out really, really good. You can kind of see I put in some warm and cool, some of that green, and as I do that on the lighthouse, we'll put the lighter washes of the sky in last. Let's get our figure in next. So let's get our figure in next here. Let's do that. Okay, so he has a hat here. He has a hat, and his hair's here. And then if you take your darks, you can dry off a little bit of those darks on your tissue so you don't have too much paint on there, and this way you have a nice sharp point. And then you can get the hat here and the details without flooding the paper with too much water and paint. And that really helps a lot if you can do that. There you go. And then we have his nose here. And then I just rinse the brush, dry it off a little bit, and then just, here we go. Doing his hat here. I'm just trying to blend in his hat a little bit. Okay, and then let's do some more. He's got some of his, so we'll do a little shadowing on his coat. A little bit of mixture of warm and cool. Okay, he's got a dark shadow there. Warm and cool. more shadow here. Looks like I see some surf there splashing up. Let's add a little splashing there like so. And a little more shadowing under here. And his arm is over here with a little bit of shadowing under there. So you just add your washes here as you go. Don't be afraid, let some stuff dry. Let's let this dry now. We don't want to keep going and going and going. We're going to have problems with too much washes. So you can add a couple shadows here and there if you feel. You can get them in. But let the figure dry. And I'm going to do his chin here. Like that. Maybe a little bit of flesh tones, cadmium red, yellow ochre. Just some flesh tones maybe. Just a touch of that red kind of is good to put some flesh tones in there just to, even if it's very subtle, it's good. It kind of, you know, makes the watercolor painting look a little better. We have the fishing rod here. We have, everything is looking pretty good actually. Warm and cool everywhere. More darks here. So we have some darks up here, kind of going like that. And again, the splashing. There we go. All right, so we've already done a lot of work. We've done a lot of the painting so far. I think we have the majority of the painting completed. We have the lighthouse, which is really the focal point, the beautiful Cape Hatteras lighthouse here. Looks great. We have that really dark darks, the dark stripes of the lighthouse and the dark cone of the top of the lighthouse and the light area. And then we have the beautiful distant shoreline. And then now we have our figure here, and the figure fishing in the surf here. A gentleman having a great time fishing in the storm. It looks like it's a stormy picture. We're going to make it a stormy picture even more. We're going to try to create a stormy feel. You'll see how we're going to do it, so I hope you're going to stick with us here. And again, please, if you haven't subscribed, oh gosh, you should subscribe here. We're doing oodles of watercolors constantly, chock full of information. You want that information. So if you stick here and you click subscribe below, right-hand side down below the screen here, subscribe. If you hit subscribe and you also hit the notification bell, there's a little bell there that says notifications. When you subscribe, click all notifications. This way, every time we're creating a video, you can be alerted on your YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch right away. Watch the video full through, get the feel for it, learn the wording, the vernacular. You're learning all the colors, you're learning the techniques, the methods. Even if you're just watching and you might not be into seascape paintings like this or figure paintings, the next time you're doing your watercolor painting, you're going to remember, if you're doing flowers, how the techniques work, and you use that towards your flower painting or your landscape painting. So every video is important. Watch every video full through, get the knowledge, and once you have that knowledge, knowledge is power. Always remember, knowledge is power. And then you'll have better watercolors, better artwork. You'll be excited. You'll be excited and having fun with your watercolors and not frustrated saying, why is it not looking good? Your paintings will be looking good once you stick here week after week, month after month, and year after year. All right, we'll be right back. can't wait to start up here. We're going to do the rest of this painting. We're going to have a lot of fun doing the sky and the surf here. Okay, so let's take a break. Get a little, get some favorite beverage, water, tea, coffee, soda, whatever you like to drink. Have a nice little beverage. Relax, sit down for a few minutes if you're standing. If you're standing, stand up. Or if you're sitting, stand up, stretch a little bit. Whatever you're doing, get a rest for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then come back, start the video back up again, and you'll be right in tune with us as we finish up this painting. Okay? All right, I'll be right back. All right, Chris here, and thanks for coming back, and let's get back into it here. We're going to actually finish up this gorgeous seascape painting. It's a beautiful lighthouse painting. It's a stormy day. We have a fisherman here fishing in the surf. This is a really exciting painting. There's so much going on, and it's just really a lot of fun to kind of get into the mood of it and just think of it like, wow, there's this fisherman there. It's a storm. He's out there. He's fishing in the surf there. He's doing some surf fishing. There's waves crashing in. It's stormy. It's raining. It's just a really interesting, exciting painting. So let's finish it up, and let's zoom in here a little more so you can kind of see. Okay, so there, before we start painting the rest of the sky and the surf area, let's get some of these surf areas here. So there's kind of like a zigzag of shapes. And you can kind of see there's some darker washes over here. And then some lighter washes over here. And I think if we don't think about it too much and we just fire it in, as we say, fire it in, you'll have an exciting time. Too much intensity on details sometimes can really bog us down as watercolor artists. So remember, sometimes those really free, fun, throwing the paint on your watercolor paint on your painting, and even in your sky washes, just free flowing your painting can look a lot better than really suffering and trying to get every little detail. So remember that. You're probably best off most times really throwing the paint on there, having a good time with it, just having a good time, big strokes, you know what I mean? Just flowing it on there. We'll do that in a second. Versus like really trying to suffer. Oh, I got to get this right here, this little detail. Try to do the best of both worlds. Get some details in with your surf here and your sky, but don't go too much detail that you're kind of spending so much time on that, and you're not getting that good, broad, beautiful wash of just getting the wash on there in the sky and on the ocean. So we'll kind of cover that now. I hope I'll kind of do this clearly. But again, you're the artist. I always say, you're the artist, do it your way. If you want to take a little more time, that's fine. I'm not saying I'm the expert here as far as everything I do has to be done this way. You can change you can use my techniques and methods and then change them around to suit you. The main thing is you're having fun with it and you're learning and you're kind of getting the general idea of what we're doing here, and you can give your own spin off on things if you want. You can use your own techniques that you like better. You might want to go slower and do more fine details in the ocean, in the surf here, and you might want to do more fine details in the sky wash. That's fine. Do it the way you want to paint it. You paint it your way, but just remember, you just take what you want from what I do, use it in your paintings, and the stuff that you want to do your own way, you do it your own way. That's fine too. I'm not going to say that you have to do it my way all the time. You do it your way. Use some of the stuff I'm using. If you like everything I do, well, then you can use all the stuff that I use, all the techniques, the methods, the colors, everything. But if you want to use some different colors, some different techniques, feel free. You're the artist. You have to find your own technique and your own methods that you use that are going to be, more what you want to do, what you like to do. Okay? Just want to mention that. let's continue. So I'm going to take my a little bit larger brush here. Let me find a larger brush. Maybe I'll use this here, a Raphael brush, watercolor, round brush. I'll use this one here. This is a number 6. So we'll get some, we'll do a number 6, a little bit larger, obviously. We're using a number 4 here to start with. And now you can see I'm bumping up to a number 6, about double the size for our sky wash and our surf. Now we have our photograph here. I'm going to put this up across from me again so that I can zoom out a little bit, and then we can kind of resume. You'll see my palette there. Okay, let's start doing our surf. We'll do our sky wash last. Let's do our surf first. And we'll go again in and do the same colors we had before. Ivory black. We had some Prussian blue, French ultramarine blue, some cerulean blue, burnt umber up here, purple, burnt sienna. Okay. Viridian green. Cerulean blue. There we go. So we have some nice warm dark black here, cool Prussian blue, French ultramarine blue, some warm burnt sienna, burnt umber, purple, black. Just a good grayish mixture there. And let's start getting in our, there we go. See, now I'm going to just do this here, free flow, some splashing. I drag my brush across like so. I take my brush, you see how I drag my brush across this way? What that does is that gives you those lots of light white paper. So you can leave lots of white paper as you go across, lightly on the side of your brush, like so. There you go. Perfect. Then a little more green, raw umber and green. You just scrub along here, that's all you need. Add a little bit of water to it. See how quick that is? Fast, fun, free. Okay, here we go. Some more darker darks over here. And we'll get some more color, some raw umber. Rinse the brush off. Tissue, dry off a little bit of the water. Burnt umber, Prussian blue, purple, ivory black, purple, ivory black, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. Try to get your darks in there. And then you're going to try to get some darks in here. A little bit of greens, Viridian green. All of a sudden, if you get too much green in there, no problem, lift up, scrub a little bit, like that. There you go. And you get some grayish tones in there, like that. And you just float that in. Add some water. Then you can lift up a little bit if you want a little bit lighter. Like that. And you can kind of see we're getting a really good look here. A couple darks here and there. The waves crashing in. Viridian green. Viridian green always looks good with seascapes. You can add more color as you get closer to the foreground here. Viridian green. Add some viridian green there to the foreground. That's all. Just flow it on. Have a good time with it. Don't fuss around too much. Okay, so we have that going. And that looks good. Again, some more ivory black, Prussian blue, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Make some exciting darks and lights. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of splashing for the waves. That looks good. Now, even more. Let's have a great time. Let's do some washes up top here in the sky wash. And again, let's use even a larger brush. So we were using a number 6 here, Raphael brush. We started with the very, very details with the number 4. Now for this sky wash, let's go even larger. Let's maybe bump it up to, let's see what we have here. Maybe a 10. A 10's a little bit larger. A Skoda travel brush, number 10, a little bit larger. Let's use that for the sky wash. So we rinse our brush. Let's mix up a sky wash. Let's use all this that we already have out there. Now we're going to use some, really flood the palette with purple, Prussian blue, ivory black. It's a stormy day. A little bit of burnt umber. French ultramarine blue, Prussian blue. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay. Now we'll rinse off the brush and let's add some water to the sky. Just some clean water. There we go. We want this to be a really wet watercolor wash for the sky, so add some water to the sky, not everywhere. Kind of do a hit and miss. A little bit here and there. Go around the lighthouse. Don't go over the lighthouse. Go around the lighthouse with your water. And then toward the bottom, let that go. Don't add too much water toward the bottom here. Just add the heavier clean water up top like this. Like that there. Like so. Then we get this in. Look at that. Perfect. Look at that stormy sky. Wow. Maybe a touch of cadmium orange for the bottom here. Cadmium orange toward the bottom of the sky. Maybe a little darker up top, more ivory black, Prussian blue, burnt umber. Look at that. Have fun with this. Fire it in. Don't worry. Like I said, you know, going like this fast and really getting it in quick, that really looks good. Again, more darks, French ultramarine blue, ivory black, burnt umber, put a couple darks here and there like so. Just fire it in, scrub it on there, have a good time with it. Perfect. Look at that. All right, now the secret is let this dry 100%. I'm putting some clean water on there just to let it flow down the paper. Taking clean water and just dropping it on the paper like that, just like so. Gives you that rain feeling. And I'm going to put a little more wash here on the lights. Maybe we'll touch up the figure a little more, but the main thing is now let this dry 100%. If you want, you can always use a blow dryer to blow dry off this wash, but I'm just going to leave this set, and that'll be the better way to just let it kind of dry naturally. I'll tap up a couple spots with a tissue if I see water puddling up. So if you see water puddling up in a spot and it looks like, because you always know when there's a lot of water puddling up in an area, that's going to be maybe an issue. So you take your tissue and you kind of press it together like so. You press your tissue together like that, and then you just go along the area that it's puddling and just let the water go up into the tissue as you touch it to the paper, and that won't harm anything. And there you have it. Because that'll eventually really, that'll cause a lot of unpleasant looking marks on the paper if you let that water puddle up too much. So if you see a large puddle of water anywhere, just lift it up with your tissue. And you can also lift up a couple spots with your tissue for some clouds, like so. Okay, I think this is 90% done. Let's just let this dry 100% of the way. We'll come back, we'll do some touch-ups for our figure here. We're going to do maybe the fishing pole, his surf rod. He's fishing in the ocean here, right on the surf. We're going to do the fishing rod here, his rod and reel. And other than that, we're really kind of complete. I think everything else is going to be fine. We just need to do some touch-ups to our fisherman here, and we'll be set. Maybe a couple more touch-ups to the ocean, maybe some splashes with some white, titanium white. We can take some titanium white and mix a little white paint onto our palette and do some white splashes. But I think you're going to be very happy with this one and have a fun time. Finishing up this one along with me. So please, I always say, hey, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Right down below here on the right hand side, there's the subscribe button. Please subscribe. This way you can be involved. Every week we're creating new videos, whether it's seascapes, landscapes, flowers, still life, figure painting, whatever it is. You're going to be engaged with us here. You're going to be going along with the process, learning all the methods, the techniques, all of the terminology you need to memorize. You need to memorize all your colors all the time. You need to know all your colors by heart. You need to know the methods and the techniques by heart. And then this way, once you have that all committed to memory, locked in, then when you're doing your paintings, you're worrying about other subtle things that you want to get accurate with your paintings, and you're not worried about finding where your color is and searching around while your painting's starting to dry and having problems. You want to be already memorizing all of your paints, memorizing how you're going to mix your washes. Again, every minute you put into this is going to be better for you. Your technique will be better, your methods will be better in watercolor, and your paintings are certainly going to be better. And I'm here with you. Let's learn it together. And I'll be right back. I just want to let this dry. I might use a blow dryer, or I might just take maybe some time and have some lunch or dinner, and then come back, and it should be plenty dry by then. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, we're back again. We're in the fight. We're in the fight. We're here. We're going to battle to get this painting done. It's almost done. It's almost done here. The only thing is I can see some problems already, and that's the thing where when you take breaks, and trust me, I have issues with my watercolors just like you do. Here in this painting, I noticed that the figure needs to be darker with more darker tonal values, let's say. So with this figure, we have to have darker tonal values here. And then with this lighthouse, I made this too dark. This is in the distance. This is in the far distance. This beautiful lighthouse. This is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina. So we're doing a coastal, beautiful lighthouse scene here. But we're talking technical stuff here now with our watercolor paintings. And we notice we have to be realistic and really be, sort of very clear on what's happening here in this painting. So here, this lighthouse is in the distance, and this figure is in the foreground. So the foreground needs to be darker and the distance needs to be lighter. So we made this lighthouse a little too dark. So now what I'm going to try to do is here show you how we can maybe try to kind of like repair this watercolor. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. We can flip it over and start another one on the other side of this paper. So always remember, when you're painting, if you have a painting that goes wrong, there's problems with it, you're trying to fix it, it doesn't work, no worries, have fun with it, relax, chill out, and just flip the paper over, use the other side of the paper. Watercolor paper is always good. You use the other side of it, you start another painting, no big deal, you know? All right, so I've had that aha moment. Can you see that aha moment here? That this lighthouse is way too dark? Let's zoom in. You can kind of see it. That really takes away from the composition. If this is really, really dark, the dark's here, and this is more light. So we have to lighten up this lighthouse, which we're going to do right here, and then we're going to try to darken up our figure a little bit. Okay, let's start out by, maybe I'll empty my water and get fresh, clean water. So I just emptied my water bucket. Now I'm putting in some fresh, clean water. And what we'll do is we're going to put some fresh, clean water on our lighthouse. We have some tissue here just in case. So we'll take a little water off and let's dab on some fresh, clean water onto the dark stripes of the lighthouse and the dark portions of the top of the lighthouse. Fresh, clean water, and just dampen the surface. And let it sit on there for like a minute or two. Let's see how that works. Then you're going to be ready with some paper towel or some tissue. I prefer to use some paper towel on this to blot up the water. But tissue works too, so I'm going to have some paper towel ready to go. I'm going to just make it nice and make a nice line on there. And then we're going to get ready to blot this up, and we'll see how, but we have to let it sit a few seconds. So let that sit, that fresh clean water, let that sit on the lighthouse. I just tapped on some more fresh clean water there. Okay, let's see what happens now. Let's take the paper towel, drop it straight on there, press it. Okay, that worked. That took off some paint there. One more time, let's do it. So I added more fresh, clean water onto the lighthouse. Let's see, let it sit for a few seconds, maybe a minute or two. You could even put a little stopwatch on it, or count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You count to like 30 seconds. Okay, that's about 20 seconds, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, about 30 seconds or so. Do the same thing again, press down on your paper towel on top of that. Perfect, look at that, much better. Now we're going to even make it more interesting. Let's get some white paint, titanium white. Let's put that in the palette. There we go. A little bit of titanium white. And we'll use our Raphael watercolor brush. We'll use that white paint. And then we'll just blot some white paint on there too. Then once we blot that white paint on there, we can lift it up. Lightly, just tap on ever so slightly with the paper towel. There we go. That looks great. Okay, so we've just did a really important thing. We've splashed, we're going to splash on some more white here, some titanium white. And now let's darken up our figure here in the foreground. So we're going to go back to our number 4 brush, and let's do some darker darks to get him ivory black, Prussian blue, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Tap a little bit off on the tissue just to dry off your brush a little bit. Nice, good point. Okay, now we start adding in some darks here to the figure. Does that make sense? Rinse the brush, dry off the brush on the tissue, fade in the colors and the tonal value there. Darker darks, touch a little bit of the water off. There we go, look at that. Already we're looking better. We're getting the darker darks on this figure here, right? How many can see that, right? That really looks better. We've got the darker darks on the figure now. We have the little collar here. And then we have the hand here. Okay, now we're going to get the surf rod. He's got his fishing pole. Let's not lose the painting now by doing a really really have a problem with our fishing pole. Let's do this correctly. Let's find our ruler, So I have my ruler here. Do I have my half ruler? Okay, no big deal. So let's take our ruler here and let's use a pencil line to make sure we have our surf rod, our fishing rod here correct. He's using his surf rod here. Let's make it larger than it is in the picture. There we go. There we go. So now we have the surf rod here. I'm going to take the pencil. Actually, the pencil line might work. You can leave the pencil line actually. And I do dashed lines like that, and that is good. And I hope you're having a great time with this, finishing up this painting, because you can see here we did a lot to really make this painting so much better by softening out and lifting up a little bit of paint off the lighthouse in the background here, this beautiful Cape Hatteras lighthouse. You know, we made it too dark in the beginning. We should have made it lighter to start with, but we just, you know, we maybe miscalculated a touch and we made it too dark. No problem. At the end of the painting, we come back in, we lift a little bit of paint. You can always go back in and even make a couple darks to, you know, for a few spots maybe on it, just to, like that. And you can maybe sometimes you might have to also go back in and add some lines to make it look a little better. I think it looks better now that we added that line to it. And you can always lift up a little bit too, here and there, just to keep things going. Then we might have some, you drag along your brush, you take a little bit of paint on the brush and drag it along on the side. That might not be good. Take a larger brush, do the same thing, get some darks on there, dry off a little bit of the paint, and then maybe, there we go. A couple of darks, just to add some more interesting marks on the paper, so to speak, so that, and then again, let's do some white paint, titanium white. Let's get some more titanium white on the palette, like that. Whoa, that's a lot of paint there. A little bit of yellow ochre, mix that in there. A little bit of yellow ochre. We don't want it too white. Let's add some yellow ochre. Like that. Add some yellow ochre to your white when you're using titanium white. It gives it a sunlight feel, like warmth of sunlight. Straight titanium white, it doesn't look too great. And then we just splash on some, I'm just going to add some splashes, add some water to that, thin it out a little bit, thin some of that white and yellow ochre. There we go, look at that, add some splashing. That really looks good. That looks like there's some splashing of waves. And I think that's good. So here we've done a really fantastic job of working with our painting, following through, going step by step through the process of getting the painting done alla prima. So we didn't do like a glazing technique where everything was like washes. We did the darks first, alla prima style. You get your darks in first. Then we went over with our final washes for our sky and our ocean. But then we realized, wait a minute. we did make the lighthouse too dark. No problem. We added some water to the lighthouse, lifted up some of that paint off the lighthouse with our paper towel to lighten it up, to make it look more, to make it more misty in the background. And we can even add some more of that. We can add some more titanium white and yellow ochre like that, just to lighten it up a little more even, like that. And even some more over here. Add some of that again, titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre. And trust me, it lightens up and it kind of thins out. But that gives you that misty feeling in the background of mist and distance. And that is what we need there. And again, overall, this looks like a really stormy day, which is what we wanted to have. A nice stormy day at the beach. We have a gentleman surf fishing there. He's surf fishing along the shoreline here. There's waves crashing in. The background is this gorgeous, beautiful Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, North Carolina, United States coastline. One of the most incredibly dangerous areas of the East Coast of the United States. Terrible storms come through through this area all the time. This is known to be one of the most incredibly dangerous and really difficult areas for people that are living here, people that are operating boats, fishing boats, people that do anything marine. So we've captured that, really that feel here. And I'm glad you joined along. And again, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're doing paintings like this all the time. We're getting into it. We're getting into the excitement of our paintings. We're really capturing the mood, the excitement of our paintings. And even if you're just watching, maybe you don't like to paint seascapes and things like this, but that's fine. If you're learning the colors and if you're learning the techniques, you're way better off. Your watercolor painting is going to be great. Even if you're doing flower paintings or still life paintings or maybe even like some landscapes, you can take all these ideas and just slide them on over to what you like to paint most. But if you're not watching this and you're not following and subscribing each week and following the videos each week, you're not going to get that information and you're not going to have it locked in. So let's lock that information in. You can memorize this information, have it locked in so that you're always working with your watercolors and having a lot of knowledge behind what you're doing, which is going to absolutely make your paintings much better. So hope you had fun on this one. I know you did. And we'll see you on the next video. And again, thanks so much for all the great comments, the great encouragement, and all of you that have been following me for many years. Thank you so much. I see you all the time in the comments section. And you're my favorite watercolor artists that are out there that have been following me for a long time, and you're painting along with me. And we have a great time here on this channel. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.